Okay, hello and welcome to the first cotangent tutorial, first of many. And this tutorial is going to be about using mainly the plane cut tool in cotangent. And this tutorial basically came about because this person, Mr. 3D France, asked this question on Twitter. The question's in French, but what he's asking for is to basically plane cut the bottom off this alligator, and that's what we're going to do in this tutorial. And I actually like to do tutorials based on questions people have asked about how to do things. So if you have a question you want to ask and you want to get some help with, you can send it to me at RMS80 on Twitter, and then maybe I'll make you a tutorial video. Okay, so here is what happens when you start up cotangent. You get a cylinder. We're going to replace that. We're going to click open. You could also click import. You could drag and drop. We're going to open this alligator mesh. And here we go. And the first thing that comes up is this import assistant. So what this will let you do, if you want to, is let you quickly reduce the poly count. So you can, if you're on a slower computer, maybe you can't handle a big mesh. This mesh isn't that big, but it's just over the threshold. I think this comes up when it's over 200K. You can click these buttons to have it automatically reduced to a lower poly count. And there's another one if the mesh was really big, larger than the print bed, that will give you the option to resize it. But we're just going to skip those for now. We're just going to click skip because on this computer, this mesh is not too big. Okay, here we go. Here's our alligator. So the question that was posed was, how do you make this alligator more flat on the bottom? If we look on the side, you see this is a nicely modeled alligator, so it's actually not touching the ground in most of the spots. So it's going to have a bunch of support under there. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to try and cut off a little bit of the bottom so it's got some flat spots. And this is very easy. So we go to the repair tab up here. We got sort of print view, repair view. And the hotkeys 1 and 2 switch between those. So we'll go to repair view. We'll click on this little icon over here, which pops up some modeling editing tools. And we will click on plane cut. Okay, and now you can see we've got a plane cut. So if I drag this up and down, it's going to move the cut plane up and down. Now, this is quite a high-res model, so the cut plane doesn't respond super quickly. If we uncheck fill holes over here, it's going to be very fast, and it's going to be easier to put this where we want it. Okay, also, we want to cut the bottom, not the top, so if you click other side, it'll flip that over. You can rotate under the print bed, and we can just drag this down until it looks like it's at about the right spot we want. So here I'm going to say we want to maybe not cut off too much of the toes. We still have a little bit of toes. It's a bit tricky to get some flat parts back here in the toes, but let's say right here we can turn fill holes back on. Okay, we can check out the wireframe. The toggle down here in the bottom right turns wireframe on and off. You can see that the holes are filled. W hotkey also does that. So we're happy. Click accept. We're done. Now we have a model that has its holes filled. We can go back to the print view. If you want to get it on the bed, you can click open these sort of position tools on bed, center, and there we go. Centered, ready to print. So you could print it in cotangent if your printer supports it. Otherwise, you click export mesh. Save the file, you import into your other print software. Okay, so that is the basic plane cutting. Now I'm going to show you some other things related to plane cut that you might run into, or things that might be useful. So one thing that you might want to do with plane cut tools is cut a model up into pieces. So for instance, maybe we look at this, maybe this your print bed, you want to print a big alligator, your bed's not big enough, so you want to chop this up into bits. So you could obviously see how you could, move this around. You push it back here, we use the gizmo, and you could click this keep both sides button here, and then when we accept the plane cut, it'll keep both sides. Then I'm just going to show you something else first. So there's this set plane from click button. So if we use that, then when you click that, now you're in a kind of mode, and if you click on the model, it's going to set the plane cut at a specific location that you clicked on. In this context, that's not super useful because then you still got to rotate this gizmo, maybe up like this, over like this. So there's another option, which is set plane from click. If you hold shift, it'll align the cutting plane with where you click. So if we click here maybe, now we just got to do this rotation. So it's a little bit easier. If you've got a flat plane you want to reference off of, it'll make that much faster. Okay, so we did that. We've got keep both sides checked, so we click accept. Now we're going to have two parts. They're right next to each other, so you can't tell, but they are separated And there we go. And now say you want to get this flat base to be down on the bed, you go back to the print tools. We open up this tab again on the left here with the position tools. Select that part, click set base. You click there, accept, and then that part is going to be the place you clicked will be on the bed. Okay. So now I'm going to actually start over because I'm going to show you what happens when the plane cut doesn't work, which does happen sometimes. So I'm going to just drag and drop a copy in, skip the assistant. Let's go to repair here, plane cut, and we're going to leave fill holes on other side. There's a spot. I found this before. Down here somewhere. There it is. So the plane cut here is failing. So this should work. Oh. Yeah. Come on. Come on. There it is. So it's working. You see down here at the bottom, it, let's see if we toggle something. It says it's working. So that means whenever you see that, that means it's still computing. And you see you can't click accept. And I mean, you can't click accept also when it's red. But when it's working, you won't be able to click accept. And you have to wait for that working to finish. That means it's computing in the background. Most of the computations happen in the background. Okay, so what do we do when it fails? If we uncheck fill holes here, we'll see that the plane cut actually worked. So it was the... Sorry, my computer froze up there for a second. If the plane cut didn't work, then it would still be red. But when we uncheck fill holes, we see it's okay. So what we can do is we can accept that without those fills having worked. So now what we see is it turned gray. That means it's got holes in it. So it's not a solid, so it's sort of not printable generally. But we do have some other tools in here. So what we can do, first of all, we could go into fill holes tool. I'm just going to show you these quickly. I'm going to do other tutorials about these. So for instance, I can go around, click on that guy, that one. It'll fill some of these. Probably one of them isn't going to work. So the other thing we can do, this just kind of does everything. So I click cancel there and undid those fills. Is we can click auto repair. Now this is going to run our auto repair algorithm that should try and turn this into a closed solid again, doing kind of the smallest changes possible. So it's mostly going to fill those holes. And that was pretty quick. So you see it's blue, that means good. Click accept. And so now we've got a solid again. So although the plane cut fill failed, probably there was a couple triangles somewhere that were making some non-manifold geometry, and when we auto repair, deleted those, and then the fills worked because it used the same techniques. Okay, now, so I've shown you how to do all this plane cutting like Mr. 3D France asked for, but now I'm going to show you a much easier way to do this. Let's get our alligator in here again. This I'm going to reduce it way down just so this all happens more quickly. Let's apply that. So now it's going to automatically reduce it on import to a much lower res model. You can kind of see maybe that it's got many fewer triangles. So let's go back to the print view. If you want to print a thing and you want to take a bit off the bottom, in Cotangent what you can do is you can just put it under the bed a little bit, and then when you slice it, the slicing is only going to happen from the part above the bed. So the bottom bits got chopped off. So this is the first layer of the print. So we got those flat parts without having to change the geometry. Unfortunately right now in Cotangent you can only print to a few printers, so for a lot of you this isn't useful yet, but I'm going to show you a trick that you can use to do that, cutting things into two parts that I did before. I'm going to pause the slicing, otherwise the slicing will happen every time I move the thing. I'll show you in a second. Okay, I'm going to rotate this upright. So if I wanted to print, say, this part vertical, because then it's going to have a lot less support and I'll get some more detail on the important parts, I can use this to help me kind of select that cutting plane. Okay, so now it's vertical. Now I'm going to turn the slicing back on. And you can see, so you see there's going to be some overhang still. And now I can see where the support is going to be going down to the bed. So you see these pink areas, those are where there's going to be support. You can change the overhang angle to the one you would use with your printing software if you're not going to print with Cotangent. And we can sort of tweak this thing. Maybe we decide on the left leg we're okay with having more support over there, and we want to get less support on the arm. So you see I just rotated it, automatically sliced, the thing updates, now we got less support over there. So you could kind of rotate this thing in little bits until it gets to the spot that you like, and then if you want to do that plane cut again, So now it's easier to go to repair, plane cut, keep both sides, and we can just put the plane like right on the bed basically. And then we got sort of part one, get the tail up there. We can set the tail on the bed, so now the cut I did, the tail is going to have quite a bit of support. But you see how you can use the sort of slice preview, even if you're not going to print with it, you can use the slice preview to help you do these kind of editing operations, give you a sense of like where there's going to be support, maybe where you want to change the orientation of the part for printing, that kind of thing. Okay, so that is Cotangent tutorial number 1. As always, you can download Cotangent at cotangent.io. And like I said, if you have questions, tweet them at me at RMS80 or Cotangent website. There's a forum. There's a link in the top right on the website. You get to the forums. You can ask questions on the forums. And there's an email too if you want to email. But forums and Twitter, best place for questions. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.